this video, I'm going to show you how to turn a simple 2D image into a fully animated 3D AI character. I will walk you through the exact workflow I'm using right now step by step. We will start by generating a highly detailed 3D model with Hunyuan 3D 3.0, then we will bring it into AccuRIG to rig our character, and after that we will jump into IClone and use the new AI Mocap tool to animate our character in seconds. And finally, we will then take the fully animated 3D character into Blender, build out our shot and finish everything off by applying textures to our 3D environment using ComfyUI. Having said that, let's dive right into it. Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Philip from Pixel Artistry, and today we are having a look how you can take a 3D AI model and animate it in Reallusion in the Mocap tool, and then to later integrate it into Blender to build out a fully animated shot. So to create our character, we of course have to first create our 2D base image. And I already showed in my last video a great technique how to achieve great reference images for your 3D characters. So I will keep it here quite short, but in case you still would like to learn more about it, I will link you the video right here for you to check it out in case you would like to explore it further in depth. But anyways, to show you my approach now, how I achieved it in this workflow here, I first started in Midjourney, and as you can see here, I have this character image here of my soldier kind of. I prompted here Halo from the Halo game in case you know it. Then Master Chief's style human character, 3D model and so on, T-pose, arms spread apart. It doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see here, it's still in a pose which is not perfect because his arms are not in a perfect T-pose, but it's a good base start and this is all we need. You can of course also use other image generators for this, but I use Midjourney here because I really like Midjourney and use it from the start already, and I prompted this here with version 7, and once you have that and upscaled, I just downloaded it right here. And what I then took is, because we need to create multi-views for our character so that his fingers and hands get generated properly, and also it's not hallucinating our backside, so that we get the best results possible. So what I did then with this image is actually going into ComfyUI, and this is also a very easy and straightforward workflow because this is using the latest Qwen image edit model, the 2509, as you can see here. You just need to use the latest ComfyUI version, and I will also link you the workflow right down below in the video description for you to download for free. And only thing you will need to do is downloading these models that you see over here. And once you have them downloaded, you just need to put them in the corresponding ComfyUI folders. Make sure then to press or hit R to refresh, and then they should be all here. Anyways, what I'm using here as a prompt is put the character into a T-pose for 3D rigging, front view, arms spread apart. And this is also the prompt that worked always best for me. So what I will do is just run the workflow, then it will start loading in all our models, and then it will start and it will give us a result in a few seconds. Alright, and this is then what we get after a few trials. As you can see, sometimes it's not working perfectly, but then you can just regenerate with a seed and then it should work. So what I'm going to do is I'm saving this image here. If you're using it locally, by the way, then you can just go to your ComfyUI output folder. Otherwise, you can just save it like this. And then once we have that, what I will do is then re-uploading our file that we have it now in the T-pose and work from here. And what I can do then is that we're going next to create our multi-view angles, that we have the model from each angle in a perfect T-pose. So what I will do is we just re-upload our image into the ComfyUI workflow here, and then we are choosing something like side view, T-pose, 5 fingers each hand. That is what worked best for me. Then I'm setting the batch size to something like 4, and then I rerun it again so that we get a lot of variations, and then we can always choose for 4 images the best result. And then it came up with this one here, which works really good and which is great. And only thing we need to do is to select this image here, save image as, again, basically the same procedure again, and then you choose the best result that you have until you have 3 views in total: the front view, the side view and the back view, which you can also see here. And this is then a really great base to go from in Hunyuan 3D. And once we are in Hunyuan 3D 3.0, of course, I will also link you the page as always down below in the video description. Once you are here, you just need to create an account, and then we need to go to multiple images because we generated our 4 views now. And what we need to do is selecting version 3.0. Then we're going to upload our 4 views now. In my case here, I'm using only 3 images because this is most of the times way more than enough. And once we have that here, only thing which is really important is that you're choosing here version 3.0. Model face count, we are dropping down to 50k because we're going to need to rig our character later on. And if the poly count is way higher, like 1.5 million polys, it gets, first of all, super slow, like the whole process, also for animation later on. And on the other side, we can't load it into AccuRIG. And otherwise you would need to retopologize the whole character. In case you would like to do this, I'm doing a From AI to Production series where I explain this step by step. But for now, because I really want to show you how you can do this straight out of the box in just a few minutes, we will leave it with the 50k method. Then I'm using here geometry and texture, and we can then generate immediately our model. Alright, and once our model is generated, as you can see, we have it now here in Hunyuan 3D with the 3 views that we selected, and which is really cool. Just check it for any issues it might have, and in case there is something, then just regenerate. Otherwise, I think this is looking great, also from the clay view. And what we can do now, actually, that we just have a number of 50,000 faces, as you can see here. And what we can do then is, and this is really important, that you go here from GAB to FBX, and then that you're going to download the file. Because now with the FBX format, we will then directly import it into AccuRIG. And now we're going to rig our character into AccuRIG, because otherwise we can't really animate our character because we need a working rig. AccuRIG is an auto rigger. It's a completely free tool that you can use. This is also the reason we are using it. And the best thing is that it has a direct connection to IClone, which we are going to use in the next step. So this is really handy because it's connected, and also from Reallusion, who are, by the way, also sponsoring today's video. So special thanks and shout out to them. Anyways, what you can do here is that we're going into AccuRIG. I will also link it for you directly below for downloading and installing. And once you download it and install it, what you can do is then that we're choosing here the FBX file that we downloaded. Alright, and once imported, as you can see, we also have our texture here, which is great. And we just need to make sure now that we do a few simple steps before we start the rigging. And don't worry, it's very simple to do the rigging here because it's almost instantly. So you don't need to do that much or have heavy technical knowledge to do that. What we need to do is first to disable symmetry. So just leave that off here, because as you can see, our character is not 100% symmetric, but it's no issue for now. But once we have that, we can then go to rig body. Alright, and as you can see here, AccuRIG is then trying to place all the marker points here by default already, and we can compare it then with this model here that we have them all in the right place. So as you can see, for example, here his shoulder joints are quite high at the moment with our view, so we need to adjust that, and we can do that by simply going in here and then dragging it down so that it matches kind of in the position that we have our character. Here the same thing, we're just going to do it like this. Then we're choosing here the bone, which is kind of here. It doesn't need to be perfect because you can always correct it later on if there's something wrong, and we can go back. But otherwise, I will just try to do it as accurate as possible. Same here, we need to have it around his neck. And this one here around his mouth area, wherever his mouth is here in this example. Anyways, as you can see, something like this could already work quite well. The knee and so on is looking good. Just also always check it from the side that it's not too deep or something, because as you can see here, those two controllers are quite now in the back side, and we need to have it more in the front area. So I will just drag that like this. A good tip is also here, because actually, as you can see, it's not moving perfectly here, is to go from the bottom and then just correct it from there. Same I'm doing for this one here. So I'm going on the bottom view and then drag it out here. And then when I'm going back, as you can see, it's now more in the front area. So I will just play around with this a bit more and then I will come back once I have placed all points accordingly. By the way, I just noticed 75% of all monthly viewers on Pixel Artistry are not subscribed to the channel yet. And you can change that by just making sure to subscribe to this channel. This would be a huge help and support that I can keep doing what I'm doing and trying to deliver the best value possible to you guys in the 3D AI space. Having said that, let's continue with the video. Alright, great. And once I'm happy then with how I placed all my points like this. Alright, and now we can kind of test our rig. So what we can do is that we're going to the hand rigging now. So I will do this. Then we need to select the number of fingers. In this case, it's 5. Then I'm going like this. And then as you can see, some of them are aligned already, but we need to shift them around a bit. So I will do this also quickly, mostly from the bottom view, because then it's also the fastest way. Alright, and once we placed our fingers, as you can see, I did this also from the bottom view because this worked the best. And then last thing is that we shift this one here to kind of how it's looking here in the image with a rotation tool that will come up when you select it. And then once we have that, there's a really cool way because we can save some time now with, you know, the other hand, because otherwise we would also need to do it by hand now. But for this one, we will mirror it over now because since we disabled symmetry in the first place, we need to do it this way because for the bones itself, it's better without the symmetry, but for the hands, we can totally do that. So you just need to be careful because when you click here the wrong button, then it's not reversible, or at least what I checked so far. So just make sure that you select the right hand. So this is our right hand and we need to mirror it over to the left. So we're going from right to left. So like this, and then hopefully it worked now. Let's see when we go to the left hand, because we mirror it from right to left. So let's see if it worked. And as you can see, luckily we selected the right hand. So as you can see, we have now left and right rigged, which is cool. And then we can go to calibrate, and then it will now apply all the skin weighting for our character. And then we are almost done already with the rigging part. All right, and this is then our rigged character. As you can see, when we go in T-pose, this is working good. We can also have it in other poses, and we could now export it in this T-pose kind of, or A pose, however you would like, but I prefer to have it in T-pose. And what I can do then is to save it here as an eye avatar, as you can see here. So you can just say here, eye avatar. So you can just click here to save it. And what we can do then is to go to Real Mocap AI. And as you can see, I did it here already. And then I can say soldier test or something. And the great thing is that it will keep all the textures we have and we can then directly import it from there into iClone. Alright, and once we are in iClone, there's only one important thing that we have to take care of, and this is that we have the video mocap plugin installed. And you will find this also directly in the installation package. So I will also link it to you down below with installation instructions, how you can do that, because the installation is quite simple. You just need to add it, that you have it then over here and restart iClone, and then it should be there. And then next thing is that once we have that, as you can see, we then also have here the video mocap section. And what we can do now is that we first need to import our videos. And for the video requirements, when you film yourself, for example, I did that in my living room. You can then film the motions that you would like to have. You could also use stock footage, of course, but there are some video requirements that you need to take care of and keep in mind while filming your video to then apply it to your AI character. And the video requirements are as follows. So what you should keep in mind when filming your video is actually that your camera angle shot should be at an eye level. So it should be not too low or too high. Your videos must avoid camera movement. So it should be a static camera. I used a tripod for this, but you could also just place your phone somewhere where it's stable. Then your performer or yourself should be a real human, and the hands, feet, and so on should not leave the frame, because otherwise then the AI mocap tool won't work because it can't know what is out of frame. And specifically what you should avoid is that your clothing is covering the wrists and feet. Your performer's feet should not be grounded, and the clothing color should not be too similar to the background. So don't wear like a white shirt against a white wall. And how you can add a video is also very straightforward. What we can do is just go here to add video, and then I will here then import my video. And then as you can see, this is the preview. This is me then in my living room doing, yeah, kind of weird movements, you know, for testing. Anyways, what you could do now is that you first cut the range, so you can decide how long the video should be. In this case, it's totally fine to have the full range. It can be 60 seconds max, but just keep that in mind, how long you would like to have the range. A detection should be set to full body. You could also just say upper body, but I recommend to have the full body since we also see my full body here. And you should always include the fingers if possible, because we rigged also our hand. So that is great. And what we can do then is detect actor, for example, just to test if the tool is able to detect our character, in this case me. So as you can see, it's then instantly recognizing this one, which is great. And then we can say apply settings. And as you can see, it's saying no from status trimmed. And what we can do now is that we generate a motion out of this. And once we click on this one here, it will then charge us the A points. And this is something you have to keep in mind, that this is unfortunately not free or something, because it's running through a cloud and the GPU operation on it is very heavy and cost intensive. Alright guys, before we move on, just to let you know, Reallusion will give you guys one free generation from December 1st to the 31st to test out the tool yourself. You can do it in the free trial of IClone, and the best thing is you can upload a clip up to 60 seconds. So make sure to combine your clips, like short clips together, so you can generate multiple animations from it. Don't upload like 5 short videos, just merge them into one long file, and then you can maximize your output and you will have a lot of animations that you can test with this one free trial. Having said that, let's directly continue with the video. So you need to buy this DA points, and it will charge you 250 DA points for generating the motion, but most of the times the motion is already in a really good quality, and I achieved every motion I'm showing you here on the first go. So there's not that much of a risk, you know, that it's going like completely failed or something. And you can also correct your animation afterwards, which I will show you in a second. Anyways, what you can do now, once you charge that, you can always see your available points over here on the top right corner. And what you can do then is hit purchase, and then it will preparing to analyze the video and then analyze the whole motion part of it. All right, and while it's generating, I have the same video already generated in my test up front, so I will show you this to save some time here. And as you can see, it's doing then our motion here. I did that for multiple shots, so I can show you this also with, for example, this jump here I did. So there I was like standing on a couch and then doing this stuff. So I will just remove this character here quickly. But as you can see, basically, you know, it's capturing the motion quite well and then doing all the stunts that we need. And now to actually apply the motion to our character, what we need to do is first deleting this one with selecting him and then hitting delete. And what we need to do then is just going to File, Import, and then Import. And then as you can see here, we have then here our soldier. So I will import this one here. And then we have here our IClone character. And what we can do now is that we're just selecting our character over here. Then we're selecting the video that we would like to target like this. And then I say here, apply motion. And then as you can see already, once the video is starting, we then have this motion applied. I can also zoom in here a bit. But as you can see, this is working really good. And it's then capturing the motion really well. So this is really cool. And we then have our fully animated character over here. We can see that some crashing is happening at the end of here with his arm, but we will fix that now in the next step. Because what we can do now to fix that is also really quite straightforward. What we need to do is that we're going to Window and then to Modify. And as you can see, this is already enabled here. Then I can go to Modify. I will simply quickly close this one here. And what I can do then is that we go to modify. I'm selecting here our character. This is really important. Then I'm going here to animation, and then we're going to edit motion layer. This one here. And then it's opening here our controls, as you can see, and then we are able to shift around our control rig. So when we see that it's, for example, crashing here, I can then basically select, for example, this control here, and then say that I want to pull it out. So I will just move this a bit, you know, that it's going more in the front, something like this. This could already work, that it's not crashing anymore. And what we can do then is, once you have set this, is that you go in here and set a keyframe like this. And then I can go and check. And as you can see now, it's barely crashing anymore, because now the arm is static and it's not crashing into our leg anymore. And this is really great because it's keeping all the motion, and, you know, super handy to fix like small things like this. And then like this, you can refine your animation. Also your foot animation and something is not working, but otherwise I'm really happy with this animation already, as you can see here, which is really cool. And then we can just export it like this. A really cool thing is also that you can potentially even create multiple animations at once by using a video with multiple character in it. You can then click on detect characters, and the AI Mocap tool will automatically recognize the different people in the scene. Just to make sure to duplicate the video then for each character where you would like to create a motion for, to split it accordingly. And this is how you can then extract motions for each character basically. Alright, and once we are then happy with our animation, we would now like to export it to Blender. And you can do this also really quickly. So one thing you should make sure always is that you go to edit, project settings, and then choosing here your FPS rate. In my case, I set this now to 30 to be sure that I can have the same frame range than in Blender, and also my footage that I shot was at 30 FPS. So this should work. By the way, you can also always view your character over here, that you have it selected, and hide it and stuff if you would like to do that. Otherwise, what you can do is select your soldier, then file, export, and then export Alembic. And what we can do then is choosing here Ogava, and let's say here we want to have a range, and then I can choose that the range is about 220 frames maybe. So I will say 0 to 220, and then what I can do is that I'm just going here, and then I can also say export my textures please, and that is fine like this. And then we can go to export. And then once I have that, what we can do is go into Blender, then File, Import ABC, and then I'm going to Real Mocap. And as you can see, then here's our exported file. Then I'm going to import Alembic, and then we have our character here. I can also go to the texture view, and it's not there right now. So what I can do is then go to shader editor, new, and then creating here a image texture with Shift and A, then open the file, and then go into the location where I saved the file. And as you can see here, it saved then a texture map for us as well as a bump map. So we'll just go here, open image, hook it up, and then we have our texture back. And then I'm just going to close this again here. So join down, then I will go to settings and choose here my FPS range, which is 30 in this case in Blender. And then I'm just going to open a timeline really quick like this. And then when we shift around, as you can see, we have now our character animated in the pose that we would like to have. When you see here some flaws, still, you know, you could still counter animate that in Reallusion and then re-export again, but this is basically how you export your character into Blender. And now I'm going to show you also a really exciting part, how you can build up a scene for your then final shot in Blender. And just to show you that quickly, I'm opening here my test file that I created up front for the shot. And as you can see here, we have very basic geometry. Of course, we have here some more complex shapes that I downloaded from a kitbash file. Let me know if you want to have have some inspiration about this as well, you know, what you could use here. Otherwise, you know, I just got it from a kit bash that I purchased earlier on. But what you could do, of course, is as well just generate house models, for example, in Hunyuan 3D, Tripo, whatever AI generator you prefer, and then placing them into the shot. But otherwise, as you can see, I also simply use some cubes. Of course, we have our character in here. For this example, I chose like this boxing video that I also did, which worked really well, I think, and was a lot of fun to do. Of course, most important thing is first that we're creating our camera, of course. So you will do this by clicking Shift and A and then choosing here your camera. And I did this here already. And once you have your camera, then you can press 0 on the numpad and then set your camera view by choosing here the angle and then move your camera around. Since I did that already, it's just important because you would just need to block out then everything that you see in your shot in the end, like this one here, and then you can start building out your shot. And I have my camera view like this. What I did is that we just need to do a still render of the scene. So I'm just doing a quick override here because I applied all textures already. You don't need to follow the step. This is just for overriding it quickly. Alright, because once you placed everything in your shot, and I just need to do one more thing here, I just realized is disabling here the depth of field in the camera, because I just did that for, you know, that it looks beautiful, more beautiful. So we'll just disable that. What we need to do is first to hide our soldier, that we just have our environment. And as you can see, it's very basic lit here. I just did that, you know, for the final shot then, but it doesn't really matter how your lighting looks at the moment, because you can just render it out as a still shot. And you know, you only need one frame out of the camera perspective, so that you have this one here, and you can just render it like this. By the way, if your camera is not active or something, you can always choose your camera as your render camera by go here, view, and then select cameras and then set active object as a camera, and then it will have that. Then you can just press 0 on the numpad. So as you can see, I still have this one here, so I would just delete this one. Just also make sure to have a transparent background. You can do this by, you know, just selecting here on the right render and then transparent. And then you will have this render file here, and then you can go to image, save as, and then choose here a destination. And now next step is that we would like to give it textures, and we will do that with a ComfyUI workflow actually. And once we generated then our still image render, I plugged that in here, as you can see in ComfyUI, and I uploaded it here. And what we can then do is to type in here a prompt. And this is, by the way, also using Qwen edit image again with the latest model. And then it's really good at it because we can then choose something like transform this gray Blender Playblast into a hyper realistic cinematic cyberpunk city scene. So you can choose this. I just refined this with ChatGPT or Gemini, whatever you prefer. You can then try this and it gives you really great results, I think. And I also made sure to disable here the LoRa, loader model only file, because you get even better quality by disabling it. It will be just a bit slower and takes more VRAM, but since I'm here on ComfyUI Cloud, it's no problem. In case you run that locally, the workflow, of course, I will also link it to you down below. You would just need to take care maybe to try it also with this one here. It's basically, by the way, also the same workflow we used before. You just have to put in the models again. We're just using here the workflow at the bottom, because here we're getting then the raw latent version, so we don't have any pixel shifting happening, because then our camera projection would not work, what we will do in the next step. And as you can see, I loaded this in here and also gave this already a few runs, and as you can see, we get then this really cool textured environment here. And you can see I also did some more tests here, and it's looking really cool, I think, and it gives us, you know, from this gray Playblast we had before, a really cool image. And if we would like to now use, for example, this one here, we could just go here, right click again, save image as, save it. Then we would go back into Blender here. Then I would select all the models here. Maybe let's hide our soldier really quick because we don't need this one for now. Then I would go in here, selecting everything with A, so that we have all models selected over here, and make sure that you are in the camera view that you see over here. Let me also hide that plane here, which we are going just to need maybe later on for the background. But anyways, once you have that, make sure to not shift the camera, just have it in the camera view, select everything with A, go to object and then go to edit mode, then we go select everything, then go to edit mode with tab. And what we can do now is go to UV, project from view, and now it projects all the UVs from based on our camera view. So this is where our camera projection is happening. Then we're going back, and now we can select just one shader here, for example. Then I have this already here, but let's do it with this test one here. I also plugged in here a bump map or something, so let's just unplug it for now that you see the raw output. But basically you would just need to create a material for it in case you don't have it yet. Then go here to the shader editor. Then we're using here and uploading our image that we just downloaded, which would be in this case this one here. Then I would just upload it, and then you can assign this one to all the materials over here, so that each one has it. And as you can see, when we project it now, when we go now to textured view, you can see that it's projecting the environment really clean onto our geometry that we have over here. And this looks really decent. As you might see, of course, you can't move the camera too much because then it will fall off here. You could fix that with doing, for example, a foreground and a background projection, but we will keep it simple for now. And what we can do now as a last thing is to add our soldier again. So we just go in here, and as you can see, we have then our soldier here again in the shot. Then I will go to the render view and I will switch it here. Make sure that you have cycle selected and GPU compute. Then only thing I did, which you can also see here, is adding some lights so that he looks more integrated into the shot. Because for example here I then have light colors, so he looks more integrated. And then as a very last thing, I just added another grid texture, gave it another material, and then I just went into Midjourney as a last step to generate the background. And as you can see, I just uploaded the ComfyUI image that we generated here, and then I just plugged it into here as a style reference. Then I just chose something like city panorama, you know, generated it from this. And then I just created a plane, a big one, and assigned the shader and then the color on it. This worked very flawless. And as you can see, we then have our shot together. Render and then render animation. Just make sure as a last thing to set here where you want to have it saved with the hashtag for hashtags here to have it as an image sequence. Set your resolution here, and then also the correct FPS as well as your frame start and end. And once you have done that, you can then simply click here render animation, and then it will start the whole animation process. And here you can now see the final shots with our animated 3D character in all of them. So I really hope you have enjoyed this video and this walkthrough how you can animate your 3D AI characters. Let me know if it worked for you or in case you encounter some issues, and make sure to subscribe to the channel to support pixel artistry so I can keep doing what I'm doing, and actually see you on the next one.